YMCA basketball and soccer programs over in Decatur.
Yes.
There's 2,000 kids playing soccer in Decatur.
Sure.
So we had our name on the back of every soccer jersey.
Wow.
On both sides. One side was yellow, the other side was green.
That's
I
awesome.
called my competitors, said, why don't you put your name on the other side?
Yeah.
And we'd be playing you guys every game. They were too cheap. They didn't do it.
All right, well, welcome to the table. We have John West and Kevin Breheny with First Mid, and it's an honor to have both of you guys here at the table with us today.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's our honor. What are you talking about?
And Kevin brought donuts today, so that was awesome. But no, we're glad to have you guys here. And I guess maybe we start, John, with you and maybe give us just a little bit of a history of First Mid and all the markets that you guys serve, because I didn't realize that you guys were down in St. Louis.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we First Mid's been around for 150 plus years. Headquartered in Mattoon. Both Kevin and I are out of Decatur. I'm out of the Decatur First Mid branch. Community bank president, been there 18 years. And the last probably 6 years, we've really grown. I mean, we've expanded our reach outside of the borders of Illinois. We're 70 plus locations, going to be pushing $8 billion in sales. And in St. Louis, we even have a branch in Texas, one in Dallas, Texas. And then
How did you end up in Texas?
So when we acquired Providence Bank, which was in St. Louis, a small branch came along with Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
So it's exciting. So we're in Texas, and now we're going to be in Wisconsin into this year when we acquire Blackhawk Bank, and we have a few lenders roaming around Indianapolis too. So
Wow.
we're in multiple states now.
Well, that's awesome. And we are a client of yours, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate the service that you guys give us. And you were particularly there for us in very quick order during the PPP loan deal that really helped our organization, because our dry cleaning business really took a hit back then because nobody's going to work.
He was known as the guru of PPP.
That's what you were saying. Yeah. So tell us
it's
more about
amazing.
that, because you guys were heavily involved with the SBA and tell us about that.
So I mean, of course, when the pandemic hit, I mean, no one knew what was going to go on. So it was kind of businesses shut down and everything else. How you're going to pay people. Well, luckily, the government stepped up and came out with the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, which gave funds that ended up, if you used it to pay your employees and other things, you got fully reimbursed and no owing of that money.
Sure.
Well, we put together in probably 2 weeks, the funds ran out, but we put together as a team, went through it, and did a lot of loans. I mean, I can't remember what bank-wide, probably 5,000.
Sure.
Decatur, our team did around 600 during the thing.
Wow.
And they just kept rolling them out. We did 2 rounds of them. A lot of us don't like to say that word anymore because it was quite the time. But
Right.
We're excited they did, and it all worked out for everybody.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it certainly was when my days, I was at the Chamber of Commerce here in Springfield at that time, and I don't know what businesses
Everybody was
would have
calling
done.
you. What do I do?
I don't know. Yeah, and I felt like a banker because I learned a lot of these programs through the SBA and the PPP. But I mean, businesses would have just been crushed and never come back without it.
When I think back then, I remember when all that went down, I mean, communication for all of us was utmost important because we didn't know. Nobody knew anything.
Right.
Shorter territory.
So we were all talking, and I was talking to as many people as I could talk to, whether it was you, our insurance guys, other bankers. Chris called me one day. It might have been a month and a half or 2 months past when we got our PPP money, and he said, "Hey, there's going to be
it was the big grant program from the state of Illinois.
Yeah,
if I remember
be
right.
on this call." I'm like, "Well, what is a big grant?" Well, I didn't read half the emails that maybe came from the chamber, and so, Connie and I, our bookkeeper, we got on and we listened to this thing, and I said, "I say we apply for it. Why not?" Within 2 weeks, we had money deposited in our account. It was unbelievable at a time when we really needed it. But Kevin, talk a little bit about the insurance side of the business as well, because we have been with you for, probably 25 years at least, and you guys have been amazing. The service you guys have provided is incredible from the work comp side and the health insurance side.
Well, I've been there for 45 and a half years. I was hired by Jim Hubbard. He was the founder of the J.L. Hubbard Company. So I worked for him. I worked for Hertz Farm Managements. Then I bought it with Ron Koopman, Randy Kennedy, and Linda Hopkins.
Okay.
We owned it for about 10 years in Soy Capital Bank. wanted to get into the insurance business. That's when banks were now allowed in insurance.
Sure.
So they made us an offer we couldn't refuse, as long as they kind of met our terms and our price. We went, and it was a very good relationship up until the point, and then they sold. They sold to First Mid, who was considerably bigger than Soy Capital.
Okay.
So now we are First Mid Insurance Group, part of a much larger organization now.
Sure.
As John just mentioned. And we have 6 offices around the state.
Okay.
And we've probably doubled in size since it was J.L. Hubbard.
Wow.
So we're a very, very large agency now in the insurance industry. We'd be considered a very big agency.
Okay.
And you know, we've elevated to a new level.
Sure.
And it's what I saw coming, and so it's just when do you want to join the next level of insurance size?
Does it allow
New
you?
plateau.
Does it allow you to provide different insurance products, lines, better pricing?
Well, whenever you get a certain size level, you attract other insurance companies. We contract with. We're an independent insurance companies.
Sure.
So the more insurance companies you can support, the more you have, the better you are for your clients.
Gotcha.
So no one can dictate to you.
Gotcha.
If one
Yeah.
tries to dictate to your clients, you move them to another company.
Sure.
Unlike a direct writer, like a State Farm or an Allstate or Farmers, they're good companies, but they're kind of one-trick ponies.
Right.
And when their agents can't get something done, they've got nowhere to go.
Sure.
We work for our clients. We work for them, not an insurance company.
Gotcha.
We're independent. So it's a natural fit with banks. They're a financial institution, and this is now what they're allowed to be in. So when banks could be in the farm management business, the insurance business, always in the trust business. Those are fee revenues to banks over and above what they make as a bank with interest and interest rates, things like that. Did
How
I
long
say that
ago was-
right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah.
How long ago was the acquisition?
Oh, 2000, 5 years ago.
Okay. So speaking of interest rates, any chance that they will be going down, or are they still going to continue?
Well,
to
I mean,
rise?
that's the question. I mean,
Right.
in my time, I said 18 years, I've never seen interest rates rise like they did last year. I mean, we say they went up as an elevator. There was no that. So we kind of saw signs this year. We thought maybe March they were going to be at the top, but it seems like we may have another couple raises that come through. But we're thinking we're seeing the top, and maybe 2024 they start to go back down, but haven't hit their numbers yet.
Yeah. Wow.
The thing that we can do that a lot of maybe other banks can't do is cross-reference talent. So I don't think there's a financial service now that we can't present to a client.
Yeah, that's great.
And I mean, we talk about the acquisition of Soy. Well, us in Decatur, we knew the reputation of the J.L. Hubbard team. 50% of our customers were their customers. So it was just, for us, we knew it was a perfect marriage. We were just going to hit the ground running, and that they would take over in other areas. And then add on top of that, we're the largest farm management. With Soy, we're the largest farm management in Illinois. So, I mean...
Wow, that's big. I didn't realize Soy had such a large farm.
250,000 acres under management. Now, I don't know what it is.
We're over 300,000 acres.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
so-
Unbelievable. I did not know that.
Yeah, just those things that, I mean, just increased our bottom line, provide different revenue sources, and great referral sources. I mean, again, we were able to cross match customers.
Yeah.
The ones we didn't, both of us had great reputations that we could go in, and it was a warm greeting that we could say, hey, these are great guys to work with.
That's great.
I remember when it was told to me that Soy was being sold to First Mid. The first thought that came to my mind was, phew,
Yeah.
I'm glad it's First Mid.
Yeah.
Because you never know who you're going to get matched up with. Right. And it could have been a big bank out of Chicago or a big city somewhere.
Sure.
Right.
And for it to be, First Mid in itself is pretty amazing. I mean, they're they're going to be an $8 billion in asset bank in Mattoon, Illinois.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was the original family that started First Mid?
I'm not. That's way too back for me. I don't know that much history.
All we know is Joe Dively is
Joe
our
Dively,
CEO.
he's the main guy. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
Joe's
Very
our
good.
CEO now.
Okay.
But yeah, and a lot of the board directors still are around Coles County, that area. So it's still, we still run it as a community feel. Joe mentioned once in a meeting with me that he goes, I like it when I come to a community and they realize that there's a CEO above John. I like it that they think he's the president who makes the decision. So it's good. They still let us have that freedom.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
And we get all of the stuff that bigger banks can do too. So it's kind of a good combination.
Yeah.
And you said you've been there 18 years?
Yes.
Is that correct? Where have you been in banking your entire career?
So this has been my only job in banking.
Only
so
gig. I love it.
We talked to Eric McCrae. He is our chief lending officer. He started the bank in Decatur in 2000, and it's the only bank that we've started that we didn't acquire someone. So he started in 2000.
Sure.
We had a great team, and we just knew we were going to beat everybody in business lending. We didn't compete in retail. We just said we're just going to do that.
Yeah. Well, Eric is a competitive guy.
Yes.
So I'd
Hey,
say.
you know what he's doing now?
What's he doing?
Speed golf. Have you ever heard of speed golf?
That doesn't surprise me. Is that when you
What
run?
is-
Is that when you run?
He has officially lost his marbles.
Oh, yeah. yeah. How's he-
You know, he's been a triathlete. He's
Oh,
been
yeah.
an unbelievable biker.
Yeah.
He and I bought our new set of golf clubs together.
Okay.
And so we kid about that. It's time for a new set.
Yeah.
So I'm out there. I think we're the first ones off on Sunday at 7:10. He's leaving.
He's done.
He's leaving.
He's done.
He got around in 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Is that right?
He and Sloan ran. They run.
Unbelievable.
From one ball,
Are
from
you
one shot
kidding
to
me?
another. Speed golf at 5:30 in the morning.
Who's he playing with?
Jeff Sloan.
Jeff Sloan does that too? Oh,
Yeah,
I love
so
it.
Jeff's been
That's
doing it for a
awesome.
while, and Eric,
We should have Eric on and talk about that. I've
Eric-
seen that. Yeah.
Eric just did it for the first time Sunday.
Okay.
Oh, he was. It looked like he had just ran a marathon.
What'd he shoot? Do you know?
I didn't know.
94.
That's not bad.
No, carried 6 clubs.
Yeah.
And carried them.
I was just going to ask, they have
Yeah.
to carry less clubs.
Doesn't that sound
We could
miserable?
shoot 94, and we drive in a cart and drink beer. I mean,
I'm lucky to shoot 94 if I'm riding to every shot. Yeah, let alone.
Why would you want to do
Why
that?
would you want to do that? Yeah.
Well, then why would you want to run a marathon? Why would you want to do a triathlon? I
Yeah,
guess.
he's done the Ironman a few times.
that right?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, 3 or 4 guys. He's a grinder for sure.
Yeah, look who's talking. You've done all those things
Right.
except speed golf.
Well, yeah, not the
He's
Ironman.
doing-
I do the
I'm going to
sprint
challenge him
triathlon.
to do speed golf.
Yeah, that would be kind of fun.
I'm just going to watch, though.
So tell us about your radio show that you
Yes,
guys
I
do,
was gonna
because you
ask
guys
about
got
that
into
earlier.
this quite a while ago, a few years ago, right? And
Oh,
how
yeah.
did that all come to be?
Well, I was pretty good friends with Brian, still am.
Yeah.
Brian Byers at Newhoff Media. And when all my community involvement stuff, I'd always tap him to go promote whatever we're trying to raise money for.
Sure.
And then he and I started raising lots of money together.
Yep.
You know, food drives, skate parks, you name it, the Oasis. And one day he approached me and said, "Hey, we're going to do a 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock weeknight show with local talent,
Okay.
our local leaders. And I want you to pick whatever night you want, but I want you to do it." And I said, "Well, I'll do it." Gretchen Murphy was my counterpart at that time. She was kind of the John at Soy Capital Bank. And, well, she really wasn't John, Bob Smith was. But I rather had Gretchen Murphy because she's what a personality.
Sure.
And I asked her, "Hey, why don't we do this on Monday nights? It'll be great for the company, get our name out there on a routine basis." We always sponsored everything. So she agreed to do it. That was almost 20 years ago.
Okay.
And then she left and opened up her own business,
Yeah, what's the name of that business?
Murphy and Company.
How's it going? Is
Terrific.
Is it going well? Good.
Yeah,
She's
she
great.
just sat in to co-host. John is taking the month off to coach his kids. So I asked her to sub. She was just like the olden days. She was wonderful. She laughs at everything. That's why I like her. Everything I say, she'll laugh at. She's like the only person. I think she thinks I'm so stupid. It's funny. But anyway, once Gretchen left First Mid, John agreed to sit in, and it's been great.
Yeah, I mean, and it was interesting. I came in June of 2020.
Okay.
So we weren't doing live shows. We were recording on
that's right.
Friday mornings.
Okay.
So it just was a new experience wearing masks, and we did that. And our first live show I got to do was the Santa show, which would have been that December. So it's just a different experience all of a sudden. of course, when you're recording, you could stop, you can go back.
Sure.
It was like, okay, we're live, and then just taking off from them. But
Do you have any funny stories about some things that have happened on the
gosh.
live show where you're like, oh no?
Yeah,
Like,
the worst, well, the best. I thought it was the best. Probably the worst for him. I won't mention his name, but he was a chef in town for a big institution, a private institution.
Okay.
And he was being generous with giving a free cooked turkey away for Thanksgiving. I came up with a stupid idea to make people work for it instead of just giving it away. And I said the best gobble would get the free turkey. So he came on, and we did this year before and had a blast with it, and it went really well. So he said, yeah, I'm in for another year.
Yeah.
Well, he comes in this one year, and this woman starts gobbling. And we had the phone lines were backed up.
Sure.
Because it's a huge, like, what are they, like 18 pounds?
Sure.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Turkey, all cooked with the trimmings and all that. And she started gobbling like it was sounded like sex than a gobble. It's the epitome, if you know what I mean. And we were so stunned. We looked at each other and started laughing hysterically. And I said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but could you do that one more time?
oh, that is awesome.
And she did it, and we're laughing. We're belly laughing so hard that Gretchen, I couldn't, her eyes were watering. She was just, and poor chef, he's oh my goodness. And finally we said, how are you getting away with this? Is there anybody in your house hearing this? She goes, I'm locked up in my bedroom, so my husband doesn't hear me. But this turkey would mean so much to my family.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so she won.
That's great.
And I don't think the chef's superiors would ever let him come back on the show.
Is that right?
It was his last appearance.
That's a great story.
We embarrassed the institution, I guess.
I
So
love
what's
it.
the nature of the of your radio show for a particular focus or purpose
Well, you'll
from
find,
week to
I'm
week?
sure you're doing the same thing with your podcast. And I know that John will say this. You learn more about your community by just,
Yes.
we open it up. We barely mention our names. We just let it know it's sponsored by First Mid Insurance Group and Bank. But it's all about the community. We always said, what's up, what's right, what's happening.
Yeah.
Indicator. Very positive.
Yeah.
Not controversial, except in the turkey deal. And we never need a guest. There always somebody's wanting to promote something about something good in the community.
Sure.
Or we get the police on, or we get the city manager on, we get the mayor on, talk about what's big in the community, what big road project we need to get behind, all that.
Sure.
But boy, isn't it great to really get to know people
yeah.
in the community?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even have known half the people if it wasn't for the show. I mean, it's just people I don't see in my day to day, and
Sure.
they reach out to us. And I mean, we do a sports segment. I mean, I've gotten to talk to Mike Claiborne, the voice of the Cardinals, for the
that right?
last year, and
Yeah, he's
just
a
hearing
regular.
Hey, he was just on, wasn't he, last week?
Every Monday night.
Yeah, that's
just hearing some of his stories and just letting him go has just been great.
Does he call in from St. Louis?
He calls in from all over the country.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the tough time is when he's out on the West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we have shows we have fun on. We have shows that you get, and they're real serious. I mean, we've had Amber Oberheim on numerous times talking about things, and you know, we've had.
We did a cool thing out of that. Something good came out of that. Her husband got murdered in Champaign as a police officer.
Oh,
Chris
yeah.
Hembrough.
Okay. Yeah,
And-
I do know that name. Yes. Okay.
And we had the chief of police on, Huey Freeman, who's a beat writer for the Herald and Review. He called me up and says, "We've got to do something for the police. We've got to do something." I go, "Huey, what can we do?"
Right.
He says, "Well, I can get you the chief of police if you want him."
Okay.
I go, "I want him."
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what. It's just like you don't know what to expect in these.
Sure.
And he brought Amber on. Huey got very close to Amber, and the wife. She was just magnificent. She's an activist for police now.
Oh, that's-
instead of going into depression, she went into activism.
Wow.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is she from Champaign?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Or
Monticello.
Monticello.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
he was a Decatur cop that went to Champaign to become a Champaign cop. So I went to the funeral. Huey let me go to the funeral with him.
Yeah.
And I never seen anything like it. I mean, state police, the sheriff's department,
Yeah.
city of Decatur, city of Champaign.
Yeah.
That Maranatha church was packed.
Oh, I believe
I never
it.
seen anything
Yeah.
like it. She got up and gave the eulogy.
Is that
and
right?
it was a call to action. enough's enough. With this defunding, why are now the police the victims, and the perpetrators are now the victims?
Right.
Or why are they now the victims?
Yeah.
And so anyway,
Good for
Chief
him.
Getz came on, and he was uncharacteristically direct.
Okay.
He's usually very polished, very smooth, very politically correct when you're chief of police.
Sure.
But I just said, what just happened? I said, Chief, you just got to know the silent majority are behind you.
Right.
They are behind you, men and women.
100%.
He said, well, if they are, it's about time they start showing it.
Yeah.
Because we're not feeling it.
Wow.
I go, holy cow.
Is that right? Wow. Yeah.
So we got
And what can we do? You know, because when I see service,
Here's what we did.
Service. Go ahead.
Here's what we did.
Yeah.
I kept asking myself, what can I do?
Right.
What can we do? Well, it hit me one morning when I was out running. Buy him lunch, buy him dinner. It was in May
Yeah.
for the rest of the year.
Sure.
So I called up the sheriff. I called up Chief Getz, got permission. So I didn't want to break some kind of rule.
Right. Sure.
John and I, first mid, got behind it. Wayne Kent, he had a radio show on Wednesday nights. Dale Coley had a radio show on Tuesday nights. And we put it out there at Doherty's, my favorite place, home away from home.
Good Irish pub.
Any on-duty police officer, doesn't matter what your role is, you could be inside, outside. On your lunch or dinner break, you have a free meal from now to the end of the year. That was in May.
Oh,
And
awesome.
that makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
But Doherty's was great about discounting the police. And so what it did is give us an opportunity to say thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, they can all afford their own lunches.
Right.
But the fact that they don't have to pay.
Yeah.
Well, it was the safest place in town.
Sure.
There was always 6, 8 cops at every lunch or every dinner.
That's great.
And I and John, we got to meet so many of these cool people.
Sure.
Men and women of the police force.
And so you have callers that donate money towards it, or where's the money?
No,
come-
we just did it.
You just did it. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
That's awesome.
it's over now. But
Yeah.
every time we have the police on, we say, hey, if you want to do something nice for a cop, when you see him in a restaurant, pick up the bill.
That's great.
Yep.
And that's the way they know the majority of people out there really do care.
I like that. Yep. That's
So that's
excellent.
what you can do.
Okay. Very
Cool.
good. So, Kevin, you have been involved in a lot of really great things that have gone on in Decatur over the years. And moving over here from Springfield, I witnessed a lot of that, Chris, over there. I mean, there are people over there, the Buffetts, the
You're doing it now
Andresses.
here.
Yeah.
I love watching you guys and Dunn Company.
Yeah. But I mean, like it's over the years, like the food drive, for instance. Is there something that you've done over the years that is near and dear to your heart that you will always stay involved in? I know you're going to kind of scale down work-wise here in the next year, but just talk about some of the things you've done over the years. I think there's people out there that probably don't know all the things you've been involved in.
Well, for me, I grew up, my father was he owned his own furniture store, not unlike you.
Yep.
Your dad owned his own business. You watched how hard he worked. But what I always thought was one of the coolest things he did, he actually got inducted into the Soccer Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow.
Is the way he supported sports in St. Louis.
Okay.
And he always had his name on the back of soccer teams. That was his favorite. But he did baseball too. And so I always thought it was cool that my dad's name was on the back of every kid's team, especially St. Anne's.
Yeah, that's neat.
And so that's where I first got indoctrinated about businesses sponsoring good events.
Sure.
So J.L. Hubbard always, when I got put in charge of J.L. Hubbard gave me the latitude to do whatever I wanted. Okay. And that's the first thing we did. Remember the YMCA basketball and soccer programs over in Decatur?
Yes.
There's 2,000 kids playing soccer in Decatur.
Sure.
So we had our name on the back of every soccer jersey.
Wow.
On both sides. One side was yellow, the other side was green. I called my competitors and said, why don't you put your name on the other side? Yeah. And we'd be playing you guys every game. They were too cheap. They didn't do it. So we did both sides of the jersey. And I thought that was neat.
That's
Parents would come up to you and say, every time a mom wore a jersey, they saw her name.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that thing. You would have thought we spent $1 gazillion and we didn't.
Yeah, sure.
But so anyway, that's where. And then I saw Frank Tyrell. God bless it. Dunn Company does. They start sponsoring fourth grades at the schools. We did that. I copied him. I copied Daryl Beck. I copied mentors. your dad, you must have learned it from your dad, I guess, or maybe but Peerless is on everything now. Yeah. And to me, it's the fun of being in business.
Right.
It's more than just selling a product and trying to make money. You're giving back to the community.
Yeah.
And
I always say it's the right thing to do because we're part of the community and we're serving the community. But I've never had anybody until 3 years ago say, and it was a large job. And you do it not because of that, but you just do it because it's the right thing to do. But this lady called up and I said, I'm just curious because I said, I'm fairly new to Springfield. I said, how did you get our name and how did you know about Peerless? And she goes, there was this really nice young man from Decatur, Illinois, and he sponsored the soccer jerseys for the SASA soccer program because my boys played for the SASA program here and had big Peerless logo across the back because I thought the same thing you thought, right? That all the moms were going to be washing that jersey. And so we did it for 3 or 4 years. And she goes, I thought if I could ever help that young gentleman out, I would, And so I said, well, that's me. And I can't thank you enough. Nice. But just like what you're saying.
Well, I've always worked for somebody until I owned the company.
Yeah.
I worked for somebody a long time before I owned the company.
Yeah.
And I always had to justify those expenses.
I bet.
What are you doing with it? And I go, look, it's it's a subtle way of letting you care about their kids.
Right. Yep.
And I used to watch. I used to love to go to Monica's Pizza because on that big wall there are all these pictures of the Northwest Baseball League in Decatur. And I'd be always looking for our team with our names on it, my kids in the pictures. And I go, this is genius.
That's awesome, yeah.
Now, you're really involved in the big food drive in the fall, correct?
Yes, it's retired now. We did it for 20 years.
Okay,
and that seemed to be. There's a fatigue factor and a shelf life and all that kind of stuff. We're kind of hoping somebody else will pick it up. But our last one was the biggest. We raised over 1 million pounds of food. Wow, and we got enough money to keep the pantries full for 3 years. And then that was our last year. But we did it for 20 years. We started out with 25,000 pounds of food, and we were over 1.5 million pounds of food.
Unbelievable. Did that food stay in Macon County, or did it feed
every
other
can?
Every
dollar.
Yeah, wow.
Every can, every dollar, and nothing went to anything other than food.
That's awesome.
The pantries couldn't buy refrigerators, can't buy trucks, can't do it for any other project. It's for people to come pick up food. Sure. And it started out with Catholic Charities and Salvation Army, and then by the 20th year, we're filling up, I think, 7 to 8 pantries around town.
That's great.
And but yeah, that was our project, and somebody needs to pick it up.
Sure.
There's a community in Decatur that's ready to give.
Yeah.
They were unbelievable.
Yeah, they are unbelievable.
And you guys were unbelievable.
Yeah,
thanks for the money you've dumped
absolutely.
into it.
So tell me we had Nicole Bateman on, and I didn't realize there's some really cool things going on in Decatur.
She's amazing.
She is amazing. She is amazing. You can tell she loves her job, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the things going on in Decatur that are really great?
John knows everything.
Well, of course, ADM's really expanding out there. Yeah. There's a lot going on with their projects. If you're looking for road construction, Decatur's the place to be over the next few years. But I think
are they doing a lot of development on the roads?
Yeah, out in Mount Zion where I live, they're redoing 121. Okay. Heading downtown, I think they've gotten funds to shrink the lanes and do some things there.
Okay.
The bypass over by ADM, I think
Brush College Road, yeah.
Brush College.
$63 million bypass.
I did not know about that. Okay.
So they've been trying for...
So that'll keep all the trucks for the ADM trucks kind of out there?
And it's to help with the train, because the train goes over the train tracks. They block them a lot, so...
Gotcha.
Yeah, you just hate that train trying to get to play golf.
Oh, yeah.
It always slows you down. But if you go out by ADM and out in our, northeast corridor, you'll see newer... bigger complexes out there people are bringing in. Is it the new carbon? Is that the...
the carbon sequestration.
Yeah.
Sequestration.
Okay.
It's blowing carbon dioxide way down below the earth, under the earth, and sequestration.
Sure.
And they are the model company doing it. It's all to keep things green instead of putting the carbon in the air.
They're in the process now, right, of building that.
There's
in essence,
companies
pipeline to
They've
take
got it. And now they're
to take
expanding
it underground.
Yeah, and then that will, from what we're being told, will attract a lot of other companies to want to be there. But between the carbon sequestration and DCCI is going into electric motors.
I heard that. I had no idea. Boy, their business has really taken off, hasn't it? That's the Demersion family.
Okay.
We talked about them
Yeah,
with
with
Nicole.
Nicole,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about, we don't even mention Howard Buffett's foundation, everything he's done there. I mean,
Incredible.
You get to the police training facility, and every time I go down there, there's a new building going up.
Yeah,
and
that
what
place is amazing. Just driving by.
Yeah.
What he's doing, the community cares campus, and then if you haven't been to a show at the Devon Amphitheater, you're missing out.
It
We're
is
going
amazing.
Thursday
Yeah,
night.
we're going Thursday. It is incredible.
Oh, you've been there. You've
Yeah, I've
seen
been
it.
there.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's incredible.
unbelievable. The
And-
entertainers show up and they look at this place and they think they're in Boston or New York or something.
I mean,
Holy
it's
smokes.
right on the lake. I mean, you're gonna love it. I mean, and I'll tell you, I don't know. Many people in Springfield don't even know about it, and there's some great acts they bring in there.
Yeah, well, I think word of mouth is starting to spread. They don't have to advertise much because everybody's in Decatur's going. But there's every weekend there's something to do. Every weekend.
That's awesome.
And they're great acts. Even the ones you don't know much about turn out to be phenomenal musicians.
Sure.
And Kansas was just there, and Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Right.
You know,
No, I
it's
know.
just, it's fun.
And
Yeah.
they keep getting, they're getting a grant to expand, and there's a lot of things going on that we want people to know about Decatur.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Riley Green is coming in Thursday over there,
And
Todd Garner's son. Jacob is the lead guitarist for.
That's
for
sold
Riley
out.
Green. Yeah, sold out. Yeah,
Sold out.
And I think it's just going to be an awesome show. The local support for Jacob, and
he'd be so proud.
he'd be so proud of
The
him. Wouldn't
last
he?
time I
Unbelievable.
saw Todd when I was with you, we were playing golf, and he was bragging about him.
Yeah. He is so proud of him. And that kid Jacob, he went down to Nashville on his own. I mean, he had no connections basically.
Now we got a young James Bruner down there
I know.
doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the drive and ambition these kids have. When they got talent, they're willing to sacrifice everything.
Everything, agreed. I know. It's awesome. And we connected Jake and James.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so hopefully that that connection will help as well, because Jacob has been with Brad Paisley. He was with Chris Jansen. Wow. Now, obviously, he's with Riley Green, and they're opening, for Luke Combs. And I mean, Luke Combs is the hottest ticket in Nashville right now. So it's
and young James is going to perform here at the State Fair in the Budweiser tent.
That's awesome. I'm sure we'll be out there for that. Yeah. So, what else? Anything else, fellas, you want to talk about like where's First Mid headed now from $8 billion in revenue or assets, I guess, if you will?
Yeah,
but
where are you headed now?
Where's the next major move?
Well, I wish our CEO Joe Dively was here. I mean, we're going to continue to look for markets that make sense for us. I mean, our goal has always been Texas is the outlier because it came with that, but we always like to be within a drive.
Sure.
Of course, some of the things that have gone on with the state, we've expanded outside the borders. Just trying to get our reach there. With the Wisconsin, they probably like to move a little bit further in there. They'd always like Missouri, Iowa, just getting to some of those border states. Joe's always going to be looking. Just right now is a tougher time to make those acquisition numbers look right.
Sure.
But then we also we've had some insurance team, wealth management team acquisitions. They're always looking to grow every side of the business.
Yeah, that's great.
He's pretty amazing. I've never seen anybody that can acquire things like he does. That's a skill.
Yeah, the
Merger and
CEO.
acquisition is an art form, and I know.
And buying the right assets, right? I mean,
It's one thing having the money; it's the other thing making it.
To invest
work.
it wisely.
well, the culture has got to be a match, right?
Cultures, that's always a big
huge.
issue, but also the gamble of is the return on EBIT going to work out?
Right. Yeah, and make sure the investors are happy.
But it is interesting. This newest one is an interesting one for me because I'd had a relationship with the bank for 10 years. One of my fraternity brothers worked there.
Okay.
So we got in a participation and introduced Joe a few years afterwards. He goes, and he tried for probably 5 to 6 years to try to buy this bank and just kept going up. And he's all about relationships, and we finally worked it through.
How long has he been CEO?
Oh, let's say 10 years.
10 years, yeah. That's outstanding.
And we've grown a lot since he was our Bill Rowland, our previous CEO, was great. He was an accounting background, and Joe's more in the sales. And since Joe came on, we've really just grown, expanded.
Yeah, that's outstanding. One last thing. Are you involved at all with what they did out at St. Teresa? I drove by there the other day. That is amazing. My alma mater. That's why I brought it up.
What a wonderful school.
Yeah.
It's, I grew up in St. Louis, and college prep schools in St. Louis are very competitive. There are all kinds of them.
Sure.
And most of them are all boys and all girls, and one's better than the other. And then I sent all my kids to St. Teresa Binger, and it is an ordinary Catholic high school. It's like a regular diocesan high school, but it is as good as any one of those college prep schools in St. Got and they do it much more efficiently, effectively, or economically. But we got involved. Claudia Madding, my wife, and I chaired a big arts building, a chapel, and a multi-purpose building some years ago. That was about $5 million, and then since then they put on a new rec center, workout, and then since that they redone the field. It's all astroturf. They put a track around it, and it's hammer and chisel.
Yeah.
Because it's the Catholic community by and large funding it.
That's right.
And they just never say die.
Yeah, it's awesome. It
I
looks
suspect
really nice.
Similar community is kind of the SHG community over
absolutely.
here, right?
Very similar.
Yeah,
Very
very
similar.
much.
Although
So.
ours is better.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that on the next episode.
An SHG guy.
This is for me, having met you, you two, but not really spending time with you. This has been fantastic. One of the things we've learned, I think you were starting to reference this earlier about your radio show, that we've learned with the podcast is people love to hear people's stories, and they love to hear about the things, as you put it, that are closest to people's hearts. And I think it just drives others to consider what is it that I can do to give back. And so to hear that kind of contribution, not just with St. Teresa, but all the things you've been involved in.
Well, our communities, I bet Springfield's the same way. You know this. Our community, it marshals support for any great cause.
Yeah.
I've never seen a more giving
I
community.
agree 100%, without a doubt. Well, in closing, I would just like to say that, John, you have been amazing for us and our company, and you never realize how important a great banking relationship is until you don't have any money, and you need you have a big payroll and a lot of stuff to pay for. And there's been times in our relationship where things weren't always looking great, and you were always there for us. And for me, being a very loyal individual, I really appreciate that. And then Kevin, likewise on the insurance side, I really consider you more of a friend than a business partner, even though you've been amazing on the business side for all those years. And I just want to thank you guys both for coming in.
Can I just say, the first time I met Brad was in a crisis. When our house needed him on a Sunday morning, we got a huge rain, and someone forgot to plug our sump pump in as they were working in our basement. Brand new basement, just filled up with water. He went down there and fixed it. That's when he was doing what his son's doing now here.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you became my best friend like in one day.
Well, thank you. It was an honor to serve you and Sue, that's for sure. So, but fellas, thank you so much for taking the time to come on
Thanks
the table.
for having us
Great
on.
to have you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.